everyone. Let us resume with our chapter 6, The Making of a Scientist. In the earlier two parts, we have read a lot about Richard Albright and his continuous journey of doing research on so many aspects of monarch butterflies. Then he studied on the monarch butterflies and the viceroy butterflies. How do they look similar and how are they dissimilar? Then he further researched about the utility of golden spots on the monarch pupa, which finally he came to know that these golden spots, they were responsible for the release of a hormone that helped the monarch pupa to finally fully develop into a monarch butterfly. These research, they were winning him so many prizes and positions at various science fairs, and finally he got an opportunity to work in very prestigious army laboratory. And his interest in science and microbiology and biology, it was growing further and further. With the help of his friends and some professors, and especially Dr. Uku Hart, he was gaining a lot of confidence and doing good research work in his field. So this is monarch butterfly. Then we read in the second lesson, while we were doing, this was the last paragraph we did. I have taken it knowingly so that we may know where did we leave. And the last line we did in the second lesson was that he came to know that DNA is the blueprint of life. So Albright and his college roommate James R. Wong, they worked all that night drawing pictures and constructed plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Because they were working on cell life, and with the help of his friend James Wong, he kept on drawing pictures and constructing plastic models to show about the molecules and how it could happen. Together, they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. Surprising, no one knew him. By that time, he was not that much famous. Richard Albright graduated from Harvard with highest honors. He stood second in his class of 1510, means there were 1510 students in his class, and gaining second position means something. Albright went on to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. There he began doing experiments to test his theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the processes of life. It is not like any great thing, any great theory, it is proved just within a span of a day or some months. Sometimes it takes years to prove something on which the mathematicians or the scientists are working on. So it requires a lot of patience and perseverance to work on something. So he was also working on this understanding the process of life. It might also lead to new ideas for preventing some types of cancer and other diseases. All of this is possible because of Albright's scientific curiosity. Curiosity is one key word that helps us to learn new things. If we are not curious enough to know, we would not know anything new anywhere in life. His high school research into the purpose of the spots on a monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about cell life, and from here he rose to fame and managed to become a great scientist whom now the world knows. Richard Albright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interests. See, sometimes we make excuses that because we are busy with our household chores, so we don't get time for our hobbies. I have seen so many youngsters all the time whining and complaining about loads of work that the schools and the colleges have been giving them, and they come out with the excuses that because we have a lot of work to deal with, so we don't get time to do exercise, or we do not get time to cater to our hobbies. But look at this, experimenting research work is not easy task, yet He always found time for his interest. He also became a champion debater and public speaker and a good canoeist. Canoe, you can see this small boat and the photograph at the top. This is known as a canoe. So he became a good canoeist and an all rounder outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. In high school, Richard Ebright was a straight A student. What does straight A student mean? That he was a brilliant scholar. Because learning was easy, he turned a lot of his energy towards debating and model making, etc. Um, he also found someone to admire, whose name was also Richard A. Werer. He was his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs, debating and model making club. Mr. Werer was the perfect person for me then. These are the exact words said by Ebright, so that's why they have been kept in quote marks. He opened my mind to new ideas. This is very much important. We always need a person. That person can be one of the parents, that person can be one of the friends, that person can be one of the teachers who helps you to open your mind to new ideas. So Richard was lucky enough that his mother was always very supportive to him, and his teachers, they were also encouraging. So Ebright said Richard would always give that extra effort. These are the words written by his teacher, Mr. Werer. He said, what pleased me was, here was this person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research, beside doing all his research with butterflies and his other interests. So his all praises for Ebright. Richard was competitive, Mr. Werer continued, but not in a bad sense. Being competitive can sometimes be negative and can sometimes be positive, but it always depends on the outlook of the person who is competitive. If we compete with someone with a sense to outdo, probably we may go to negative side. But if we compete with a sense to outdo ourselves, to outdo our own previous results and studies, then there is no stopping. So Richard was very competitive, but not in a bad sense. Mr. Werer said Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. Rather, he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could. For the right reasons, he wants to be the best. And that is one of the ingredients in the making of a scientist. So, here he gives us the magical formula. What are the ingredients of making a scientist? As if making a scientist is as easy as making some dish at home. If we know the proper ingredients, we can make that dish successfully. So most probably, if we know what are the ingredients to become a great scientist, we can become a great scientist. Who knows it? So let us read what are the ingredients. Mr. Werer said, start with a first rate mind. First of all, you need to have a fully developed mind. Add some curiosity to that mind. Mix in the will to win for the right reason. Winning, we should have a will to win, but not just to outdo others or to win over others just for the sake of doing it, but for the right reasons. If we have the reasons right, then will to win is beautiful. Ebright has all these qualities. From the time the book, The Travels of Monarch Ten, you remember when did this book come in his life? Only when he was in grade 3. It opened the world of science to him. And reading, it takes you into another dimensions of the world. It is the best, books are your best friends in the time of solitude. So instead of making virtual friends online, if we make these books our friend, at least they are going to teach us something or another. Richard Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity, and curiosity is the garnishing on the dish which is served to us. So means these are the ingredients. This is just a picture I have given for your ready reference, and Finally, in this last paragraph, once again, the ingredients of qualities of a great scientist are given. It is shown in this chapter that with the right amount of curiosity, a bright mind, and the will to win for right reason, these are the qualities needed to be a scientist. And here we come to an end to the explanation of this chapter. I hope you all could understand. This is about the life of Richard H. Ebright. Let's meet for the next chapter and we will be discussing question answers there. Happy reading all of you.